Hey friends, Mark Holmes here, and as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Joe Blue Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally does not work. Happy Easter, everybody. Hope you're having a great holiday as we get ready for the NFL draft coming up this week. Big week in the NFL. And you're hearing that the Seattle Seahawks are interested in trading Frank Clark before the draft, and this is reminiscent of last year when they wanted to trade Earl Thomas before the draft for a number one pick. So this is definitely a deja vu moment. But the difference I think here is well, one, Earl Thomas wasn't franchise tagged. He was in the last year of his deal, whereas Frank Clark is franchise tagged, so he's technically not their property without the tag. But you have to wonder, because Frank Clark is probably going to get about a $90 million contract extension. This guy's got 35 sacks in his career so far, still young, much like DeMarcus Lawrence. And what you have to ask is this the first player that is lost to Seattle because of the Russell Wilson contract? Clearly, Russell Wilson is getting $35 million a year for the next 4 years. And when you start thinking about, okay, am I going to pay this guy $90 million? So somewhere between, say, 17 and 20 plus million a year, you're then talking about $55 million tied up between two players. And when you start thinking about that, with the salary cap at about $190 million, that doesn't leave a lot of money for the rest of the team. So this is where a lot of people are going through and saying that Dak Prescott needs to take a team-friendly deal, because if it isn't, then you're looking at not being able to recoup or be able to hold on to players that you deem valuable. But here's the thing that you also have to look at too with the Seattle situation. Seattle, over the course of the last 2 years, I believe last year they didn't have that many draft picks. This year they only have 4 because of trades they've made. The ultimate way that you're able to hold on to a team when you pay a quarterback a lot of money is through the draft. Make no mistake about it. The draft is how you build and maintain a team. Because when you get that rookie, even if it's a high first-round draft pick, they're still costing you pennies on the dollar to a veteran. And you can look at most teams that have been successful through the course of any length of time. It's because of the draft. And I dare say, it's almost funny as we look at the draft right now. When the draft happened for us in 2016, most people kind of said our draft class was, it's okay. They only said it was okay because they said, well, you got Zeke Elliott, who could be a game changer, but he's a running back, and you don't want to take a running back that high. But as far as everything else that they got, not that good. You had Jalen Smith, who, may never play. You had, Malik Collins, who, he's an okay defensive lineman. You had Cedric Thornton in there. Maybe that might be the guy that might make a whole bunch of noise for you. And you had Dak Prescott, and they looked at that and said, well, maybe if he sits behind Tony Romo for a few years, that he might be a capable backup. And then you had Antonio Brown, and it was like, who? And Rico Gathers, and can't think of who else. But basically, when they looked at our draft, they said, it's nothing. But the reality of it is, that draft gave us this whole team, and part of the reason why we're having money issues, because you look at Dak Prescott being our starting quarterback about to get paid. You look at Zeke Elliott, the best running back in football over the course of the last 3 years, 600 yards more than anybody else. You look at Jalen Smith as one of the best young linebackers in football. You look at Malik Collins, who has played really well, had injuries not slowing him down. You would have said that guy is truly a beast. And you've had Anthony Brown, who has played, a lot of time out there as well. That's 5 guys that have been starters out of one draft. And if you can draft like that, because let's be honest, those guys right there, for the 3 years that we had them, we haven't played them jack crap. So when you look at a contract like what it's going to cost for Frank Clark, If you can draft like that, and that's the difficulty. Don't get it twisted that everybody drafts that well. We have just got one hell of a scouting department that has been able to find talent every single year. But if you can draft like that and keep reloading with players, young players that aren't getting paid a whole lot of money, and let them go when they get older and replace that, as long as you can continue to replace those guys, you're in great shape. And herein lies the problem for Seattle. Seattle last year, I think, only had 4 draft picks or 5 draft picks. This year, they've only got 4. So they're not able to continue to reload that talent. So they're looking at this saying, if we re sign Frank Clark for a $20 million contract, along with Russell Wilson, along with not having that many draft picks, we can't afford to even get free agents to fill in the other holes. And it will be a major deficit. And that's why they're trying to trade Frank Clark for a number 1 pick. That's why they tried to trade Earl Thomas for a number 1 pick, because they realized the value of the draft. So that's kind of where it is in the talk of why Dak Prescott, you want him to take a team-friendly contract. But I'll be honest with you, when everybody talks about the player being loyal to the team, he should take less money than the other guy because it's about the Cowboys, It's about how the team treats him and stuff. But take a look at the flip side of that situation. When a player can't produce, the team doesn't honor that contract. They're going to let him go for as cheap as they can. So when you talk about player loyalty, before you talk about that, think about what loyalty or lack thereof the team has for the players. Just words to think about here on this Sunday. I'm Mark Holmes, and I'm hoping that you're having a great Easter. I'll see you soon.